materials. I'm meeting with the Architectural Review Board later this week to go over that with them, but we're planning on keeping all of that existing brick, but staining it a nice gray color that goes with the architectural palette that they've selected. And then for the new portion of the building, using a nice white fiber cement siding, and upgrading all of the windows in the building to be a black aluminum window system. The other sides of the building here, Ford Street elevation. So as you're coming down the street approaching the library, you'll see that elevation as well as the elevation that we just looked at. We've got a door to the meeting room along the Ford Street elevation porch, and then there's a door from the children's area to an outdoor programming area. The north elevation is the staff entry, and then a door into the meeting room there. And then the east elevation is the drive-through window and book return lane. And I've just got some renderings to show real quick. So this is our exterior of the building. Looking at that front porch element, Ford Street is off to the left there. And we can see our building signage far to the right. And then our drive-through lane on, or our building signage on the left with our drive-through lane for this to the right. This is our main entrance. From the parking lot of the building, we've got a big circulation corridor going through the center of that space. You can see the door to the meeting room beyond there with our help desk on the right. And then looking back to where those teal rooms are, we've got some group study rooms located over there. This is our view from behind the help desk. So they've got a great view to the parking lot and who is coming and going from the building, with view to the collection on the left and then the seating on the right. Our teen area is located right to the right of those double entry doors there, so it's nice and open, and they've got lots of room for seating and collection, and it's located directly adjacent to the new technology located within the building. Group study rooms on the left, and then we've got some seating next to our computers, and then the back wall showing the children's area on the right. Collaboration area. This is just kind of a flex space that can be used either by the children's department or another space for adult programming, just to give them some more flexibility as the programming in the library changes. Children's area seating. We'll have some computers on the right, and there's a nice window facing inside the children's workroom area so the staff can keep an eye on what's going on in that area. The back of that room features a window seat that's built in to the wall and looking out towards the back of the site with all of the trees and greenery. And this is our new meeting room. It features a flooring called Flotex. It's soft and feels like carpet, but you can pour paint on it and vacuum it up in a few hours. So really cleanable and durable, which will be great for our children's programming and adult programming as well. I thought I had a slide in here for the site plan. I'm not sure what happened to it. But Eric and I have been working with the neighboring property to get an easement to close the access on Ford Ave and then do a new entry on Fish Street. We think that this is going to greatly improve the safety of the site and will allow for some more parking. I know that they have some traffic issues with trying to pull out onto Ford and just keeping all of the patrons safe. So we think that that will be a nice improvement. It also sets up really well for the drive-through lane. You'll just pull straight into the curb cut and you can go straight, drop off your books, pick up new books, and turn around and be on your way. Project budget, because our project budget is split into two pools of money right now. Phase one of our project is currently under budget by about $200,000. So we're in great shape for for phase 1 of the project. And then because phase 2, we're still looking at what that final number is going to be for phase 2. We'll have to kind of assess and evaluate what is going to happen with phase 2 of the library as those project funds are approved. Jennifer, I don't know if you want to go ahead and speak to where we're at in the funding process.
The state legislature did convene last week. They are moving to sort of a hybrid model right now.
If you step to the mic, that way people online can hear you.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Right now, the governor has moved forward with his fiscal year amended budget, and that's where the focus is. The next stage will be the fiscal year 23 budget, and that's where our capital outlay and the additional grants we applied for, the MRR funds, will be. When those hit committee, that's the time that we will need citizens and also our commissioners and other elected officials to get their senators and other people to write in to the Senate Appropriations Committee in support of this project. As Amanda mentioned, when we applied for this 10 years ago, the voters passed the SPLOST, and we were asking for what was then the max, which was the $2 million for a $3.7 million project. If we want to be able to do both phases, which would be the most cost effective, to bid them together and not try to break them into 2 units, and also be able to account for the grants we've applied for with the major repair and renovation funds, and a few design alternates that we have reserved to try to make budget. What our total amount that we need would be $4.2 million. So last year, the Appropriations Committee for the Vidalia-Ohoopee County project, they did award them an extra $1 million. And their rationale for that was that that county had planned to apply for multiple grants, and they said it just makes more sense to push them all together and do it in one package instead of having to manage multiple grants and multiple fiscal year cycles. And I'm hoping that's what we're able to do as well. If that does not pan out, then we will knuckle down. We have a budget in plan to make our $3.7 million work. We've gotten permission for using the MRR grant money. The county share of SPLOST that's going into this project will also count as our share for the MRR grants. Those grants total about $250,000. And then we are also looking at other funding sources, both private and things like the E-rate, the Universal Service Fund. So we're going to pull together as many pots of money as we can. Eric has been a tremendous help for us in understanding the ins and outs of the local with the review boards and architectural boards. And what I would like to do is in the next week, I'll be meeting with the Friends of the Library, the board, and the stakeholders to pull together our publicity campaign. And if I can send that information to you all through Ben and or Lori, so that we can get y'all to help us with our letter writing, and I will go ahead and get some talking points drafted up for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the best. I know y'all seen me so many years standing here saying this, but this is truly, to me, the most exciting point we've ever been with this. And I want to thank all of you and Ben for pushing forward with us using the SPLOST money and having the flexibility to do this as a phased project so that we can tell the Appropriations Committee and our senators that we are committed to this and that we are ready to go as soon as they approve this money. On July 1, or when the bonds sell, we can put it out to bid and be ready to move. And we've never been in this position before, and it's truly, truly great.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, so a little more background information on our project budget. I think our takeaway from that is phase 1 is definitely funded and ready to go. As far as the project schedule goes, my team and I are scheduled to finish our construction documents here mid-March. And then the team has agreed that we're going to kind of pencils down and wait until we decide what happens with phase 2 of the project. Ideally, we would like to put the packages out to bid all at once just to save money with contractor mobilization and ordering, and seeing some money savings just doing that project all in one fell swoop rather than doing one half, reopening, closing later, and then doing the other half. We think that that is going to be the most cost effective and efficient way to do the project. And that's all I've got for everyone. With the schedule, pencils down on mid-March. I think tentative date is March 11th. We'll know what is going on with our final budget approval July 1st. I think we'll be able to do a quick turnaround from as soon as we know what our final number is, getting the project ready to go as soon as possible to put that out to bidding and permitting to get the project started, and then estimating between 9 and 12 months to do one long construction period to just get everything done and renovated. Any questions from anyone?
Do you have any questions? Thank you. It's been a long time since we've been working on the project. Seems like every year we come to the money part that's the stopping point of the state, but hopefully we can push this through this time. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yep. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
All right. We need a motion to close this meeting and open our public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we close this meeting and go into a public hearing.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, okay. All right. First up is Z 252-21 billion, second reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning map for 6.5 acres parcel 0422-074-01.
And Chairman and Finger, I'd like to point out that items 1 and 2 are related items. We do have a rezoning accompanied with a conditional use permit. And so for purposes of my presentation, I would like to go ahead and present these items together prior to having you open it up for the public comments, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. So for the first part of the request, this is dealing with the rezoning to rezone the property identified by parcel number 0422-074-01 from the existing RR Rural Residential Zoning District to B2, which is our general commercial zoning district. This request is being presented by the property owner in conjunction with Billy Meadows, who is looking to develop the site. And the application is being represented by the project engineer, who is TR Long Engineering. So with this particular request, we did present it through our Planning and Zoning Commission at a couple of meetings. They made their formal recommendation at their meeting on December 21st. Their recommendation was accompanied by 2 conditions, one regarding GDOT permits and the other one regarding the requirement for a TDA, a traffic design analysis, to be provided. I do just want to point out that following the Planning and Zoning Commission, staff did kind of refine the reading of those conditions just to add a little bit more specificity for when we think that those items should occur if approved. So I do just want to draw your attention to that information that's on the slides, tying those requirements to any site development plans and requiring that they be completed prior to the approval of those. So I will give a little bit more background though as to how we came to those conditions. So generally speaking though, whenever we're looking at the rezoning request, the property is located at Highway 17. It sits at kind of that southwest intersection of Highway 17 and Clarktown Road. The site consists of approximately 6.5 acres. It's currently developed with a single family dwelling and an accessory building. And as previously stated, they're looking to rezone it to the commercial district. So as we're reviewing rezoning requests, we generally look at the future land use plan and the comprehensive plan, as well as the existing zoning scheme and kind of the development patterns in the area. When we're looking at this site along Highway 17, we note that the comprehensive plan identifies this corridor as being suitable for mixed-use development. So we do talk about a variety of uses to include both commercial uses, industrial uses, and also residential uses. As we're looking at the existing zoning scheme and the development pattern that's occurring along Highway 17, as the current zoning map will show, we often see commercial and industrial zoning fronting on Highway 17, and then we generally see that the residential development occurs, off of Highway 17, off of adjacent side streets. So the request to rezone this property to a commercial zoning district is consistent with that land use pattern that we're already seeing along Highway 17. We know that there are properties adjacent to this across Clarktown Road that have already been rezoned. And then further down the corridor, there's that mix of industrial and commercial zoning. So if we're just looking at it from the rezoning, what we always want to do is just look at if the general uses that are permitted in the requested zoning district, whether or not we think that they're more or less suitable than the existing zoning. And so basing it on that, we say that staff says that this is suitable because of that existing development and the intent for those services to be provided along that more heavily traveled corridor. So staff did recommend approval for the rezoning, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval for that as well. Now, for the portion of the request related to the conditional use, whenever we look at the requested rezoning for B2, there are always permitted uses, which we say could occur by right if rezoned. And then there are uses that can only be permitted by conditional use. And what that means is that an additional review is required related to that specific use. And there are often supplemental conditions in the ordinance that they have to abide by. And then there's also the opportunity for the board to place additional conditions on that if needed. So that is what's prompting the need for the associated conditional use permit request. Because they are requesting the use as a mini warehouse facility, and the ordinance specifically describes that in the B2 zoning district as requiring that separate approval. So with the request for the conditional use permit, they are looking at it for mini warehouse. So these are going to be self-storage facilities. With the concept plan that they originally provided, you can see that they were only showing that concept for about 1/3 of the site. So the initial plan shows approximately 244 units located kind of on that southwestern edge of the property. It accounted for about 42,270 square feet, and again, that 244 units. That was to be made up by 3 different buildings, 2 on that southwest side, and then a smaller building sitting kind of at the entrance off of Clarktown Road. In the initial phase, they are talking about removing the existing single-family home, but repurposing the existing accessory structure in order to provide for office space and on-site management. Now, through the course of the Planning and Zoning Commission, there was a lot of discussion about what could be done with the remainder of the site. The applicant represented that they did intend to possibly build additional storage units. And there was also a discussion about whether the remainder of the site could be used for additional uses that may be permitted under the B2 zoning district. So to provide a little bit more clarity on maybe the future plans for the site, the project engineer did provide some additional information about how this site could build out. And they've identified kind of that future phase where they would propose 2 additional storage buildings that would be an additional 37,950 square feet of space and an additional 220 units. And so that would account for a total of about 264 units. Our understanding at this time is that those will be climate controlled, accessed by internal hallways. So our understanding is that there are not going to be any exterior overhead doors or units that could be accessed from the exterior of the buildings. But I will have either the applicant or the representative clarify that during their portion of the presentation. So with that, that gives us a clearer picture about how the other portions of the site could be used, but it still raises the question about that remaining acreage. So I do just want to draw that to everybody's attention because that is not represented on a concept plan at this time as being included in the conditional use request. So there is always the possibility that that area could be parceled out if it meets all of the requirements of the B2 zoning district in order to stand on its own, and could still be considered under any of the B2 permitted uses that would be allowed within the district. So with that and through the Planning and Zoning Commission, there was lots of discussion. This went through, I believe it was 2 public hearings for Planning and Zoning Commission. It was deferred during the first review because there were still some questions regarding the TDA and comments that were brought up through the public comment portion of the meetings. Now, to address those issues, it was deferred because of the the requirement for the traffic studies and the need for those to be completed up front. And what was driving that need was really kind of in conjunction with all of the discussions that were related to the townhome development, which occurred further up Highway 17. That was recently on your agenda as well. And there was a lot of discussions about how new development was impacting traffic along the Highway 17 corridor. And so as we were reviewing that request, we felt the need to, also treat other requests similarly and look for that additional information. The applicant has presented an initial TDA that has gone under review with our county engineering director. Given the outcome of the meeting and decisions with the townhouse development, we now know that the Highway 17 corridor is a much bigger issue. And so we didn't feel the need to continue to hold up this review before getting to you to address any of those larger Highway 17 needs. We know now that we'll look at that more holistically through a Highway 17 corridor study, and then really we should be looking at these individual requests for those site-specific improvements to control access for those developments as opposed to improving the larger intersections. So that's what then kicked it forward to you out of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I do though want to talk about some of the things that did come up from public comment through that Planning and Zoning Commission review. And so going back to traffic, one of the things that we've heard about from the public is concern about that intersection at Highway 17 and Clarktown Road, in particular related to the RPUT improvements that are currently going in. I do just want to clarify that those improvements that are currently being proposed through GDOT for an RPUT intersection improvement is something that is being done by GDOT. It is not specific to this particular rezoning request, and is not anything that's being initiated by the applicant through their traffic studies. That is something that has already been studied by GDOT and is being spearheaded by them. Other concerns that we heard through the course of the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings were related to existing site conditions of this property. In particular, we heard concerns about the existing single-family residence and whether or not it had asbestos. We heard concerns about the existing septic and whether or not there was an adequate drain field. We also heard concerns about the well on the adjacent site to the north, and whether or not new development could be in certain proximity to it. And I just want to point out that although these may be valid concerns and are questions that can be raised, these are all really things that would come to light during the site development process. Whenever we talk about buildings that might have asbestos, we talk about the need for a demolition permit, and there are reporting requirements for them that go to the state. Whenever we're talking about that existing septic and whether or not the drain field is adequate, those are things that we would look at whenever they're trying to connect or improve the site. So those are all things that will be addressed, but they're not things that are suitable to be addressed through a rezoning or conditional use application. So I do just want to say that we did hear those comments, and we are aware of those issues, but we don't think that they have any bearing on this particular request. They will come at a later time. So with that, I think that those are all the items that I had to report on this. So I will just reiterate, staff is recommending approval of both the rezoning and the conditional use. And we do have those conditions that we would like to tie to these approvals. That first one being the requirement for permits and approvals from GDOT being obtained prior to any site development of plans being approved for the site. And then that second one for the revised traffic impact assessment to be approved through the county's engineering director also before any site development plans move forward. All right, so with that, if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I do know that we do have representation for the application here.
This time we're going to take comments for or against, or if there's any comments, if you would just come up, I guess, for or against it, and then we'll talk to the applicant afterwards if there's any questions that come up. Is anybody here to speak for or against? If you'll just come up and state your name, ma'am.
My name is Cheryl Sanders, and I live at 160 Clarktown Road. And we've been at all the meetings so far about this project, and we continue to be opposed on a number of levels. A lot of the things that she mentioned, and I appreciate her bringing up the items that we had discussed before. But we've read all the paperwork that we can find with the initial proposals and subsequent proposals that the engineer or that the long group prepared. And it just goes back to the fact that that area is a bad traffic area as it is. And without that development going in, I don't think the state would be in such a big hurry to do that R-cut thing. And I can't believe that everybody on Clarktown Road and all the feeder roads that feed into Clarktown Road and the ones farther down the road are all going to be inconvenient so we can put in one self-storage unit. It just is not that those property, I would love to see that property be developed into a couple of nice homes and continue to be residential as opposed to commercial. So from somebody who has to go by there twice a day, at least to go to work and back, and who can see it from their front porch, I still remain opposed to a self-storage unit on that property.
All right.
And I appreciate you guys' consideration.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak for or against? Sir, if you just come up and state your name, we'll give you 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Patrick McDonald. I live at 160 Clarktown Road, and I'd like to ask that the graphic be put back up of the site plan itself, if that's possible. Thank you. First off, I live at 160 Clarktown Road, which is, thank you, this section right up in here. The Tulloch family, Tulloch, live right in front here, where this is going to be placed. This is the exit right here. And then a new family has moved in here behind Parker, who will also be impacted by this entrance right here. And right now,
Sir, if you just come back over to the mic,
Yes,
so
thank you.
people can hear you online.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So our concerns are, number one, how right now it's a nicely wooded lot off of across Clarktown Road, fronting on this property along Clarktown Road. And aesthetically for us, it's a very pleasing view rather than looking out at concrete and asphalt and the brick wall or whatever they're going to put around it. Also, my concern is that on this plat, it doesn't show any conservation of historic or heritage trees which are on that lot over there. It's my understanding that on commercial development, some of the foliage, a certain percentage of it has to be preserved. And I'm not seeing any of that on this development right through here. I went through a whole bunch, I took a deep dive through the ordinances. Boy, that would wear anybody out, and I commend y'all for hopefully knowing all of this stuff. But there's so many things to talk about. I can't get to it in 5 minutes, so I'll just highlight a few things that it says here in section 18, the county deems it necessary and desirable in the interest of public health and safety welfare to enact a tree protection plan, which I'm assuming you have, and for noise and wind reduction. That's just a portion of everything, why the trees are there. And if you cut all this down, we're going to have a tremendous amount of noise coming in from Highway 17. It's a freeway out there right now. It's not just Highway 17 anymore. It's a 4-lane highway. People are running 70 miles an hour, trucks, traffic. We have a lot of noise coming in from the north side from when the Restoration Church opened up and they cut all the trees out behind their acreage out there. So now we used to not hear the trees. Now we not hear the vehicles. Now we hear them. So our peace and quiet is slowly being diminished. And I would also like to see this remain as a residential neighborhood. It's a nice piece of property. I've been out there and walked it. I know a lot of people that we've in the previous meetings with planning and zoning. They said, "Oh, we're all familiar with it." But I said, "Have you walked the property? Have you gone out there and looked at the property?" And I got no response from that. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with where this property is. How many of you have walked it? It's a beautiful lot. Deserves to be remaining as residential. Again, I don't want to get tangled up in the R-cut design, that's state, but we've been bandied back and forth between state and county engineer, each saying it's the other's responsibility. about the R cut. And it's my understanding without the R cut, this can't go commercial, which I'm opposed to becoming commercial. I want to see it remain residential. So that's just one of the things. Again, I'll give you the chairman, I'll give you all of this about the minimum canopy requirements for something to be left on that lot, some trees or something, so that to assist with the drainage. You turn that into 5 acres of asphalt, there's no place for that water to go. There's a ditch on the side fronting Highway 17, but it doesn't really work. It doesn't drain anywhere. When Parker's took it upon themselves to reroute the drainage coming from the north to the south, they dug a trench, not the county. They dug a trench along Highway 17 and funneled it down the side that we live on, which promptly eroded all of our driveways. All of our driveways have had to have been replaced since Parker's did this. The pipe that goes underneath Clarktown Road running south is just clogged, filled up with dirt. There's no drainage running from the north to the south along the southern part of the property over there. And nothing runs down that side. I guess that would be the north side or east side, whatever side that is where the driveway comes out. So that drainage would need to be improved. There's a lot more that I could talk about, but I'm just mainly concerned about this being turned into a mini storage facility. It's not what our golden years were hoping to be. We moved down here from 20 years ago, well, actually 40 years ago, we were living on Hilton Head. We all know how that went. We moved to Pooler. We lived there for about 15 years. We all know how that went. We finally came down to Richmond Hill, and it's going that way now. And if this comes in here and nothing is done at this traffic intersection right through here, all this is going to turn into another Highway 278, like on Hilton Head Island. If you've ever been over there, you know how horrific that is to get from one side to the other. So we're very concerned about any more commercial business coming in this far down. Yes, there are some established businesses in there, but they're good neighbors. They close at 5 o'clock. We don't hear anything out of them. Parker's closes at 11:30 midnight, so we're not having disturbance after that. If this is a 24, 7-day-a-week storage, there's going to be people in and out of there all night long. I also drove a tractor trailer for 25 years. I know this exit onto Clarktown Road coming out of this storage facility. There are 2 deep ditches there, and Clarktown Road is not wide enough to accommodate a combination vehicle. They're going to be pulling off into the ditch. They're going to be tearing up the asphalt between that exit along Clarktown Road out to Highway 17. And if you go to Parker's and look at that intersection coming off of Clarktown Road, the road is already hacked up enough on both sides where people have pulled off into it, gouged it all out. It needs improvement right now. So there's a lot to be said about bringing more traffic in here and tearing up what infrastructure we already have. So I'll stop with that. I'll give you the information that I have to peruse and look over at your leisure. And you did an excellent presentation, bringing up our comments. We were at all 3 meetings, and we've all voiced our opinions in objection to this. So with respectfully submitted, so here's what I have interest in. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Yes, ma'am. You should come up and state your name. We'll give you 5 minutes.
This is the 196-page traffic study done by the Department of Transportation. I don't know if any of you gentlemen and ladies, I don't have had time to read that, but
If you'd state your name, please.
Olivia Tuluk, I live on 74 Clarktown.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It has a lot of stuff in there that's very heavy reading for most people probably. But I would just like to say that I encourage you to thoroughly read through it, because what it is saying in there is that we have they have a grading system for how well our road is working on that corner. And currently we have a grade of an F on that corner. And it says in this thing, it is my understanding from what it says, that it needs to be brought up to at least a C, a bare minimum of a C, to be safe, to safely put in the mini storage facility there. Then it goes on to say, on page 18 of the traffic study, say table 10, that the R-cut facility is going to fail in future scenarios. So if they put an R-cut in, which no one in our neighborhood wants, we don't want an R-cut there, it's going to complicate things. There are people with big trucks, there are people that pull trailers. It's not really good to be going down and making a U-turn. It's not a good scenario for us. But it says that it will fail anywhere between 3 years and the year 2044. So basically, it's a very temporary solution to the traffic problem that we're already having. So I'm very opposed to making traffic worse, obviously. And some of the data in the traffic, because I also read the TR Long study, which I don't have a copy of that, my printer gave out after this one. It says that like propose, like it'll improve it to be suitable. I'm not good at this kind of stuff, I'm sorry. For a certain amount of years, but that study, we don't know how they get those numbers, because it said, Bryan County is like a very quick, we're just exploding, like more population every year. So how do they even get the numbers to guess on that? I don't know. That's a question. I don't know if I worded that properly, but there's really no way to know exactly how many people are going to be impacted by that. Just a thought. But anyways, basically, in 3 years, it's not going to be any good anyways. We're going to be back to square one, having more problems than we were before, because we now have more traffic and a different traffic pattern that we already had. So I just wanted to point that up. And I did have another question about the phase 1 and phase 2, but she answered that already. So that was nicely done. And I feel that this isn't very safe. We also, as a neighbor, in our neighborhood, we started a petition to see how many people, if people would show more interest and get word out, like, we're doing this. Do you think this is a good idea? And we do have 40 signatures on our petition. It's not just us 3 sitting here. There are other people. With COVID and everything, people don't want to come out and leave their houses. So there are other people that don't like this as well. So I just wanted to point that out.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wish to speak for or against, or the applicant can come up if there's no other comments. If the applicant will wish to come up.
Good afternoon. My name is Bryan. We're with TR Long Engineering. I'm the engineer on the project. Mr. Billy knows, representing actually Bowling and Forrest Anderson. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about the project, traffic, anything you want to bring up.
Anyone have any questions for them? No questions. Okay. Yeah, there's no questions. We've studied it all. All right. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Next up, Amanda, is what we're going to do. We're going to go through each of these and close our meeting, go back into regular session, and vote on these items, so people know we have to go through our public hearing. All right. Next one is Z 254-21. Larry Galbraith, second reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning map for 21.29 acres, parcels 063-073.
Yes, so this is a request from Larry Galbraith. The property is currently zoned A5. He's requesting RR 2.5, which is a rural residential district. We did present this to our Planning and Zoning Commission on December 21st. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff are recommending approval. So the site is located off of Highway 144. It consists of approximately 21.29 acres. And the existing zoning in the area is primarily still agricultural, although we do see along Highway 144, we do have properties that have been rezoned for rural residential use, as well as some R15, which is our single family residential district. So whenever we're looking at the overall zoning scheme and development pattern along the stretch of Highway 144, we find that request for the RR 2.5 is still compatible with what's occurring. Now, the request, as we understand it, is in order to support further subdivision of this tract. So it is a large tract, however, it is uniquely shaped. And so the applicant is proposing to use that kind of long, skinny finger that connects to Highway 144 to develop it into a new private access. It would provide access to the 3 lots that are being proposed in the back. And we understand that although these are still being proposed as large lots, that the request for the RR 2.5 is to be able to accommodate some flexibility in drawing those lot lines. Whenever we talk about lots being able to be served by private access easements, one of the things that we stipulate in our ordinance is that the area of the easement cannot be factored into that minimum lot size requirement. If not for that, the applicant, as they've represented, wouldn't have any issue meeting the minimum requirement of A5, which would be that 5 acres. But once you take out that access and that area dedicated to it, you can see off of this concept that we have some areas that are going below that 5 acres. And so there wasn't a zoning district between RR 2.5 and A5, so they're requesting the RR 2.5. In addition to that, this is the plan that's being represented at this time, and if subdivided in this manner, providing only the private access easements as that option for access, then that would likely further the ability to further subdivide in the future. If they came back under the RR 2.5 zoning district and wanted to subdivide more lots than what's being represented right now, then they would have to comply with the private road standard in order to be able to service those 3 to 6 lots. I know that the question usually comes up, are they going to be held to these 3 lots as represented? If rezoned to RR 2.5, not necessarily. Assuming that they want to comply with a higher standard for that road development, they could potentially get more lots out there. But under the minor subdivision process, in no way could they present more than 6 without having to come back to the Board of Commissioners for approval. So I do just want to clarify that, but happy to answer any additional questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions for me? No questions? Okay, thank you. Does anybody here wish to speak for or against this project? Nobody, the applicant would wish to speak? Okay. All right, hearing none, okay. We will take a motion to close our public hearing and reopen our regular meeting.
Make a motion that we close the public hearing and go back to our regular session.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we are now back in our regular meeting, and we will vote on these. The first one is Z 252-21, Billy Meadows, second reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning map for 6.5 acres, parcel 0422-074-01. Two. Want an motion on that one? No motion? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to be knowing that I'll be abstaining from both of these two, having to do that property.
Okay. All right, hearing no motion, that will die from a lack of motion.
I think you have to vote on it, or either table it.
Vote on a table. Take a motion to table it or a motion to accept or deny.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to table this.
Okay.
To a date certain, preferably.
To
the next
30
meeting.
days.
I would say for 30 days.
Our next meeting would be 20 days.
And I would like to ask, if I may, if it's going to be tabled until the next meeting, if there's any direction you can provide to staff or the applicant in terms of additional information that might be needed in order to assist in your consideration of this. I think a little direction might help in just getting prepared for another review.
Okay, and we can do that after our meeting, our comments to you. Okay, we have a motion to table that till our next meeting. Second. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, that motion carries to be tabled till our next meeting. All right, the next one up is CUP-174-21 Billy Meadows conditional use permit for a mini storage facility, parcel 0422-07-4-01. Motion to approve the denial table.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to table this till our February meeting.
Second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Table.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion carries to be tabled until our February meeting. Next is Z 251-21 Larry Galbert, second reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning map for 21.29 acres, parcel 063-07. No, that's not on that one.
That was for the previous one.
That was
There are no conditions on this one.
Sorry, yeah, sorry about that. That was
Okay.
a mistake there. Sorry about that. Okay, do you have a motion to approve? Have a motion to approve that. I need a second.
Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion on that?
Just want to make certain if at a later time they decide to put 4 or 5 lots back there, we'll have to come back and readdress the access road. And then the lot size at that time, what will be the minimum lot size that would be allowed? 2.5 acres?
2.5 acres is the minimum lot size. And again, if they go ahead and subdivide with the 3 lots as shown, providing that minimum standard for a private access easement, then in order to come back and do any additional lots beyond that, they would have to bring that road up to that standard for the 4 to 6 lot requirement. But now if they propose 4 to 6 lots and are willing to meet that standard up front, that could possibly go through as long as they're meeting that minimum lot size under the zoning, and that may not have to be presented at any further meetings.
Regardless, they'd have to upgrade the road, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but in any case, if they're showing or proposing at any point in time 6 lots or more than 6 lots, that would have to come to this board as a major subdivision.
But even if they came back and wanted 10, the lots, well, the numbers don't work, but if they 6, I mean, they still have to, they couldn't be smaller than 2.5 acres.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And they'd have to upgrade that road.
Okay, good.
All right, any more discussion? Motion is second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, Ben. You're up. I think the first item is to appoint people with us in a couple weeks.
They wanted to replace your earlier now.
Yeah.
Item 1 on the agenda is appointment of vice chairman. Each year, the Board of Commissioners appoints one of the members as vice chairman. For a number of years, the Board of Commissioners have been using the rotation method. The vice chairman for 2021 was Dr. Gene Wallace. 5th District, the proposed vice chairman for 2022, based on that rotation, will be the 3rd District Commissioner, Dallas Daniel.
We need a motion on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we appoint District 3 Commissioner Dallas Daniel as Vice Chairman for the year 2022.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do I have to give up my special parking space?
Yeah.
I can work out something with you.
Yeah, we already ordered it signed for it. Yeah. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, that carries.
Item 2 on the agenda is appointment of county attorney. In January of each year, the Board of Commissioners appoints the county attorney. Lehman Holiday, with his firm, has been serving as county attorney since December 2014.
Chairman, I make a motion to reappoint Mr. Holliday as the county attorney for fiscal year 2022.
Second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. You're welcome.
Item 3 on the agenda is appointment to the Board of Assessors. Mr. Kenneth Tyler was appointed to the Bryan County Board of Assessors in February 2016. The term for this appointment expires in February of 2022. Mr. Tyler has expressed interest in continuing to serve on this board. If the Board of Commissioners wish to appoint Mr. Tyler to a second term, the term will run from February 2022 to February 2028.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we appoint Mr. Kenneth Tyler to the Bryan County Board of Assessors for a term beginning February the 1st, 2022 and expiring January 31st, 2028.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
Item 4 on the agenda is the 2022 LMIG program application. Each year, the Department of Transportation provides grant funding for local governments through the Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant Program for road-related construction projects. Bryan County, of course, was awarded in excess of $485,000 this year based on road mileage. GDOT requires a local match of 30%, which equates to over or almost $146,000. Additional funding has also been allocated through T-SPLOS funds, bringing the total 2022 Bryan County Road Program to $1.2 million. The 2022 road program includes the installation of shoulders and resurfacing of Oak Level Road from SR 144 to Jake Brown Road, the installation of shoulders and resurfacing of Groveland Neville's Road from US 280 to the Bullock County line, and the installation of shoulders on Belfast Keller Road from Belfast Keller Road to Cranston Bluff Road.
Okay. We have a motion on that.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to authorize you to execute the 2022 GDOT LMIG package for submittal GOT.
Second.
Second, any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion carries. This is a great program, by the way, for the state to help fund some of our projects here at the county locally. So, okay, Ben, next.
Item 5 on the agenda is the award of a right-of-way mowing contract. Staff did an RFP for right-of-way mowing, which includes approximately 95 miles of right-of-way mowing. Staff is recommending award of the contract of Five Guys Services Group LLC based out of Collins, Georgia for $380,000.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approving staff to award a contract to Five Guys Services Group LLC based out of Collins, Georgia for $380,000 for right-of-way mowing.
A second.
Second that, any discussion? For discussion, hearing none. All in favor, raise your right hand. We're spending money. All opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Board of Elections.
Item 6 on the agenda is appointments to the Board of Elections and Registration. Gene Ida-Roja and DJ Clark are vacating their terms as members of the Board of Elections and Registration. Dan Deanan and Tom Hand have expressed an interest in serving these vacant positions. Their appointments will begin immediately and will expire on December 31st, 2022, since they are serving in unexpired terms of the previous two.
And those terms are normally what, 2 years or 4 years, aren't they? 4 years.
If I'm not mistaken, yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint Dan Deneen and Tom Hand to the Bryan County Board of Elections and Registration to a term to expire on December 31st, 2022.
I'll second that motion.
Second, okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7 on the agenda is approval of task order 3 to the professional services agreement with Goodwin Mills Kaywood LLC. The Department of Community Affairs requires cities and counties to update their comprehensive plan every 5 years. Bryan County's update is due in October 2023. Community Development Department issued a request for proposals on October 12th, 2021 for professional consulting services to assist with the preparation of this update. The Community Development Department received 2 responses, and after reviewing and ranking those 2 proposals, GMC scored the highest. The Community Development Department has negotiated task order 3 for professional services, and they're recommending, of course, that you approve that task order so they can get started with the work.
Any motion for that one?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approving task order 3 to the professional services agreement with Goodwin Mills Kaywood LLC.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, item number 8.
Item number 8 relates to the previous, it's the appointment of members to the 2023 Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. Bryan County, of course, like I said, is required to make that comprehensive plan update every 5 years. Per the Department of Community Affairs rules, stakeholders must provide guidance and input in the preparation process. The formation of the steering committee is a recommended method for obtaining this guidance and input. DCA requires at least 1 member of the local government and a representative from the economic development sector and local government staff to be on the committee. The steering committee membership list provided in the book includes the commissioners' identified appointments and the members that are appointed to comply with the DCA rules.
Can we make a motion for that planning steering committee member?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the resolution appointing the presented members to the 2023 Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee.
Second that motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay.
Item 9 on the agenda is adoption of 2022 road classification plan. Bryan County Board of Commissioners adopted a unified development ordinance, UDO, on December 8th, 2020, including the UDO as a road classification plan. The road classification plan per this document identifies all roads in Bryan County's arterial, collector, local, unpaved, or private. At the end of the calendar year, the engineering director updates the road classification plan with a road inventory information. Of course, if there's any changes in traffic, due to some traffic studies or increased traffic, those are reclassified. Pursuant to this, the UDO, the engineering director must present the road classification plan annually to the VOC for review and adoption.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution adopting the 2022 road classification.
I'll second that.
Second that. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Into the Plan and Zoning Committee.
Item 10 on the agenda is a consideration of appointment to the Bryan County Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Ronald Carswell's term as a member on the Planning and Zoning Commission expires February 28th, 2022. Mr. Carswell has experienced the desire to serve another 4-year term. He has submitted an application for reappointment. If reappointed, his term would expire February 28th, 2026. Mrs. Stephanie Falls is also a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Her term expires February 28th, 2022. She has also expressed a desire to serve another 4-year term, and she has submitted an application for reappointment. If reappointed, her term would expire February 28th, 2026. 2 resolutions there if you wish to reappoint those 2 current members.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Mr. Ronald Carswell and Ms. Stephanie Falls to the Bryan County Planning and Zoning Commission for a term that would end on February 28th, 2026.
Second that motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Mr. Carswell, for being here also. All right, Ben.
Item 11 on the agenda is two required resolutions in support of the 2022 CDBG application, the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. In preparation for this application, approval of two reference resolutions is required by DCA. The first authorizes submission of a application for FY 2022. Those applications due in July. So we've got a lot of work to do on the application, so there'll be a lot more details with that later. And also, number two is a fair housing resolution. So what the recommendation is approval of these resolutions, so work may begin on this. Of course, this won't be the last time you see the details of any of these applications, but you'll have to approve the budget and whatnot as well once they're prepared. But the CDBG grant application may not be submitted without the inclusion of the two resolutions. So this is basically just checking those boxes, beginning of preparation. There will be two resolutions there. And they're also included in the book.
Need a motion on that?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the resolutions as presented.
Second. Second, any discussion? Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right.
Item 12 on the agenda is another housekeeping item. It's a resolution to set qualifying fees for 2022. The Board of Commissioners are required to set and publish qualifying fees for county offices by February 1st, 2022. Qualifying fees are generally set by law with formula, and the amount is depending on the county office. They'll vary. Following qualifying fees are presented in the book as well as up here. And of course, that will be published in the paper per the law.
All right, we need a motion to.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the resolution setting forth the 2022 qualifying fees for county officers as presented.
Second that motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, okay. Motion carries.
Item 13 on the agenda is the final adoption approved commission district boundaries. Of course, every year, 10 years, in growing communities such as ours and every community in Georgia, following results of the census, counties are required to redraw commission district boundaries to account for shifts in population. Bryan County retained the firm Taylor English Duma to assist with creation of new commission district boundaries. As of 2020, the ideal size of each district increased to the population of just under 9,000. You have the attached maps in the book that demonstrate the new proposed districts. Now it's passed, it's another leg of its journey through the adoption by the state, the legislator. It's been approved by the Reapportionment Office. And Representative Ron Stevens will facilitate the passage and adoption of the plan into law by the Georgia General Assembly so they may be used for the 2022 elections. This is just reaffirming the fact that you approve these district boundaries once they've been approved by the Reapportionment Office. Of course, you remember you approved the submission to the Reapportionment Office in the previous meeting.
I need a motion to adopt that district boundaries.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the resolution adopting the new commission district boundaries for Bryan County.
Second that motion.
Second, any discussion?
One question, as part of the formal adoption of this, do we need to say anything about the school board or no?
They gotta do their own adoption.
They did their own, and they're also using the same law firm as us. And they will, just a point of information, everybody listen, they're gonna use the same district. So,
yeah. Good. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay. That is it for our housekeeping items for January. If anybody in the audience would like to make any comments before we make the motion to adjourn? Okay. We'll take a motion to adjourn, please. Could you just state your name, please?
Hi, my name's Angela Spalding. I live at 490 Wilson Road in South Bryan. And I just wanted to bring up something to the to you all commissioners, excuse me. Thank you so much for waiting to rezone that property because I was late and didn't get to say my piece. So, but I do want to bring up another issue. I believe that we have planning and zoning might have a little bit too much power. And what I mean by that is that there's certain things that they're allowed to sign off on without any kind of public notice, public hearing, public oversight. For instance, the R-cut design. No one but the county engineer is able to, can give their signature on it, and boom, it's allowed. And to me, since that affects hundreds of people in my community, I believe it needs to have a hearing, just like, a zoning hearing, splitting property in our county. You fill out an application, they look it over, the engineer comes out, boom, you have split property. And that wouldn't be so much of and the only way that affects me personally is because I live on a private road. And I've lived there for 10 years. And for 10 years, I've been helping and working with my neighbors to fix that road, because the county offers no support for that, as y'all know. And we paid a lot of money to get it to where it is now. Because it used to be a mud hole, and I can show you some pictures. But I had to go around like a collection agency, beg for money and dirt and things like that. And now we got it to the point where it's beautiful. We even got milling out there. New neighbors move in, engineer comes out, road looks good, of course it does. We put thousands of dollars in it. Even had to replace a culvert that broke across the road. So now we're just getting more traffic in. So to me, in the city of Richmond Hill, they have to go through 2 hearings, not to be comparative, but I'm just saying they have 2 hearings that they go through just to split a lot. And I'm not sure if this is correct or not. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but this non-compliancy lots or non-compliant lots, or I might be saying it wrong, that is it the community development director, the person that authorizes that? That one person? I'm asking, I don't know. I mean, I got a big, huge binder this big, and I'm telling you, it's crazy. I don't know how y'all went through those ODUs. And she sent me an email letting me know that it is a final document. And I totally disagree with her, because it's not a final document. Because she said it was effective January 12th. No, y'all are still adding amendments to it. It's always going to be a living document because you're going to be adding stuff to it. So my thing is that no one person should have so much power. You're just asking for corruption, dishonesty. I mean, I'm sure they're not, but it should look that way. When I asked to get my lot split years ago, before the ODUs came out, I guess the rules were different then, and it didn't happen. But and then somebody does. So that's my takeaway, is that we definitely need to have more balanced power. We are a democratic government. We have checks and balances. And we need to keep that even down to the county level. Thank you for letting me
All
speak.
right. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming up too. Any other comments? Commissioner comments? Hearing none, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, okay. It is adjourned, our meeting is adjourned.
I thought we were sitting, not getting adjourned for a minute.
We always go through.
Let's see how you handle that.